Guys, the vibes are great right now. I walk in, Greg Cody furiously typing something in the studio that I don't. What are you doing? What were you doing? Usually we have banter, but today you were just typing really loudly.
Was it loud?
He's a pecker. You'd think someone who's written as long as him, you had like the good form. He goes 2 fingers just all over the place.
It's true. Yeah, I type very fast, but not professionally.
But, Greg, you're usually out and about, mingling with people, having breakfast, and I just saw you in here locked in, typing away. Like, what were you doing?
I was doing some Miami Herald-related stuff, honestly. I was doing
journalism.
My folder for tonight's game. I was putting it on the budget and et cetera and so forth. Boring stuff.
But
real work. Yeah, real work.
But then the reason the vibes are so great is not simply the fact that we have video working today, youtube.com/Lebatard and Friends.
For now.
Lucy Rodin is raising the roof with one hand.
At Lebatard Show.
At Le Batard Show as well. Chris Cody's back, too, in the back row, lifting the other part of the roof with his other hand. The vibes are great because Greg Cody leans over to me and he shows me a yellowed embodiment of his newspaper life.
For years, I've been referencing a headline from my Little League career. Cody's slam paces drugs, where as a Ute, I actually, and not a good hitter. I was like 6th in the lineup, singles hitter, but I hit a grand slam in this one particular
Without
game.
a fence. It was just kind of like a hard ground ball.
Nevertheless, it was in a major, big headline. And years later, and Christopher always accused me of making it up and did it.
Well, no, you also had a family newspaper. I've always accused you of just having this be a headline in the Cody News.
The Cody News,
and
right.
not an actual newspaper.
Wait, did the Cody News have departments? How extensive was the
They
newsroom?
had editors and writer, right?
Yeah, I was the reporter, editor, and publisher of
the only
Cody News.
department was Greg Cody.
Yes, correct. I was 13 years old, and I would write we talk about it a lot on my podcast, The Greg Cody Show.
Well done.
If you want to check it out.
Hadn't heard of it.
And this thing, this is my whole life. I thought it was Cody's slam paces drugs, but it's Cody's grand slam paces drugs. Of course it is. And there you go.
It looks older than the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, it really does. And just as important, this is a real artifact proving that newspapers back in the day really overcovered high school youth sports.
Area Little League results, and then in giant font. You paste the drugs.
Yeah, that's right. And there's actually a box score attached to this, which is incredible.
The team name was Adler's Drugs.
Yeah, I'm confused by the
Pace's
headline.
Drugs
These
is
are good questions.
his team.
Right.
Adler's Drugs was a local drugstore. They sponsored the team. Greg Cody played for the team. He batted 6th. He was a singles hitter, hit a grand salami, right?
Correct.
Locked in.
Sums it up.
The entire story.
Can I see it, Greg?
That is correct.
Mike, you've never been so impressed with me.
I mean, we've talked about it for 15 years. You might as well retain it.
But
I feel like Pablo should have white gloves when he's
I know.
reviewing this
Seriously,
artifact.
I mean, come on now.
I should be like a Sotheby's handler with this.
It belongs in a museum.
It really does, Roy. Thank you.
There's a
Greg
treasure map
Cody
on the back.
Museum.
What was the final score of the game?
7-3.
Oh, wow.
We beat Bob's Sports.
Nice.
Bob does sports?
Yeah.
What happened to Bob Sports?
I don't know.
Underrated part is the back of this, which also screams super freaking old. What cartoon strip is that? What comic strip
I think
is
it's
this?
Marmaduke.
Is that a Marmaduke?
I believe that's Marmaduke.
Huh.
If Marmaduke was alive in the late 60s.
It is Marmaduke, yes.
Okay.
Confirmed.
There you go.
Wow. Big grand slam for you,
Stu,
huh?
can you
well,
chill with
Stu,
it?
you're like bending
Yeah.
it, man.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Treat it with
You just
kindness and
folded it like
respect.
8
Oh,
times.
sorry, Greg. Just checking out the box score. I mean,
It's proof.
proud of Greg.
You know, you could light it on fire right now, and you
It
all
looks like
are
someone
witnesses.
already did.
It does, doesn't it?
Laminate that.
Yeah, it's great.
You
I
get
should
that
laminate it.
authenticated.
Yeah, how do you
PSA.
laminate something?
A PSA 1.
How does that work? The lamination process. Where do you go for
No one
something like
answer.
that?
Let's just let him figure it out.
No, where do you go to a FedEx place, or how do you do that?
I feel like
Yeah?
that's the answer.
No, you send it in. There are all these trading card authenticators. You send them in, and there's this whole racket where they will grade your card for a fee.
Right.
And that
That is a racket.
number they assign, that rating, that grade, will then verify how much it's worth in the open market.
Okay, that's worth nothing. Plus, I defaced it There's a random batting average.
Yeah, what was that? There's a written number that
Yeah.
feels like the clue that leads to the treasure map on the back of this. But what is it?
The batting average for some reason is 369, and I think at the time I was also involved in Stratomatic, and the former St. Louis Cardinal Orlando Cepeda, even though he was not a high average hitter, was leading the league in Stratomatic. So willy-nilly, I think I wrote his league-leading batting average onto that headline.
There's a lot happening right now.
What is happening? So Stugotz is fumbling around. Oh, he brought out his
Baby bull.
his glasses.
Snyder, just about the time I think I've taught him some manners, he sees you. I mean, classic Marmaduke. Unbelievable. Amazing. I miss Marmaduke, don't you?
Is it still around or no?
No.
No?
Are comics still around? I mean,
Is there an older version?
are newspapers
of a
still around?
person?
Barely, yes.
Is there an older version of a person than the person who takes out his reading glasses after fumbling around extensively,
Yeah.
only to read aloud a Marmaduke comic strip?
On the
Snyder.
tip of his nose.
Yeah. What a day you had, Greg.
Yeah, it was a big day.
Yeah.
It was
Taught
a
them a
big day.
lesson.
I mean, you're 1 for 2.
Well, but the one was a big, major hit.
Yeah. Grand Salami.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Put it on the poll. Is it charming or absolutely pathetic that Greg keeps a headline from 50 years ago?
I have good news. Marmaduke still with us.
Wow,
Really
good
nice.
for him. The Duke.
You had your
Nice.
ace on the hill that day, huh?
Yeah? Who was it?
I don't know, but he pitched a good game.
3 runs. I
Yeah.
mean, you know.
I was a little worried, Mike, that Marmaduke got milkshake duked.
Anytime you're turning over a newspaper from that era and there's a comic cartoon on the back, I'm just generally
There's like a
worried.
20% chance there's like an Oriental hat, like
Yeah.
a rice patty hat on the back of that. So it's good. This is good.
Sorry, I had to put
That
my glasses
resonated
away.
a little too much.
What does that reference
Greg.
even mean?
You know what I'm talking about.
Back in the day, you mean? Like-
Absolutely.
okay.
Racist comic strips, a Google image search that everybody should do at
Dad,
one
sit
point.
this one out.
I would like to see a couple of ads on the back of this.
Why?
I don't know, because I think it's fascinating to look at old ads. I always have.
Ads is what he said.
Yeah. What did you think I said?
You're actually bearing the lead from this Greg Cody Show episode this week because we actually found that headline and we found the Cody news, an actual printout of my dad, just little blurbs of just what's going on with his parents. They tried to buy a car and then they put $20 down, and it's honestly adorable and a glimpse into the person my dad is at 13. It's really cool, honestly.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I started a magnifying glass club, but it dissolved because nobody joined it.
We tried calling it.
Yeah, that came out in the Cody News.
I'm sorry. What is a magnifying glass club?
Killing ants, I think.
Well, you used to use the sun and a magnifying glass. It was inhumane, but back in the day, you thought nothing
Nah,
of
we're cool with killing ants. You can do
killing
that.
an ant.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm
Have
not
you?
proud of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I remember learning about that. I think this is a symptom of being a serial killer. Admittedly, now that I
could
say
be.
this aloud for the first time.
Yeah.
But I have done that.
Yeah, it could be. Ron McGill says that you can trace serial killing to abuse of animals, and I think he's got a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to go to a dark place, but
Well,
Here we are.
Is it socially acceptable for me to just pulverize an anthill?
no, I don't think.
like
Unless it's-
roundhouse kick one.
Like hit one with a golf club.
Like, we may have been filming some golf content over this past weekend that will come out in the future, and I may or may not have just said, am I allowed to do this? And then just start pummeling an ant pile with a golf club.
But
I
why
may
would
have.
you?
If it's not acceptable, I didn't do it. If it's acceptable, I may have done it.
I think it's fine. I was told you had a tough day on the golf course, though.
Geez, that's getting around quick. It's spreading like wildfire.
I didn't say anything.
Tony didn't say a thing.
No, I
mean,
didn't. I hit a few bad drives.
Chris, they've been talking about you and golf
We won.
for like 2 days now.
We won.
All that
Because
matters.
Taylor was incredible.
Yeah, Taylor was good.
Right.
Wow.
I'm shocked to hear that. You're not the reason that you guys won.
Well, we were
Taylor
a team.
is.
We were a team.
All right.
You know, people expect great shots from me. I hit a couple bad shots. Yes.
Okay.
It's sometimes it's an adjustment when the cameras come out. Like, I'm not used to.
They were saying that Chris Cody had the yips.
Yeah, I did off the tee.
I don't know
It's
about
okay.
yips.
No, I mean,
though.
I hit a few.
You
good
hit a
ones.
monster drive.
That's what I mean.
once.
I just more than I usually do. I hit a few bad ones. So I'm okay with it.
But with Chris, he plays just a couple of times a year. If Christopher played every single day the way I do, I should be better. I'm not. But if Chris played every single day, he'd be a great golfer. He'd be a scratch golfer.
It could be.
Yeah.
I play like 5 times a year.
Well, you play more than that. Come on.
Honestly, not in recent years, not really.
Okay, Mike's making faces.
Far too good to not play that often.
I know.
Far too good.
That's how good I am.
Like me and Mike would kill to have your game. Like we would. We'd play all the time. I do play all the time. I don't have your game.
He's far too good.
I
But
wish I played more.
I'd
but
kill
not
to have all the time that you have to play all the golf that you do to get so good.
Fair.
When I showed up to Tahoe, someone asked me when's the last time I played. You know, this same time last year.
Last
the
time I
last
was in Tahoe.
Yeah.
I just like that there was an ant civilization that looked up one day only to find Chris Cody Godzillaing their entire existence.
There was actually, I did it, and there was one ant. And I was picturing it was the ant Home Alone who got the house left Home Alone. He had a big party the night before, and then he just got done cleaning the house. And I just come over and just pulverized the entire house after he got done cleaning. His parents, everyone was about to get back home. Yeah. He just got the house cleaned, and I just ruined everything.
If we all had super hearing, we would hear the ant colony screaming. You know, but you can't. You never hear a sound
That
from an
would
ant.
make it. I would not do it if you heard the screams
you wouldn't
of
do
the ants. I would not do it.
I feel like this is exactly the ethical dilemma we should be grappling with. Would you genocide ants if they could scream?
No, you wouldn't.
Well, they probably are screaming. We just can't hear them, right? Put it
Yeah.
on the poll.
I
If
would
you could
think so.
hear the screams, we
Put on
would
the
not
poll,
do it.
Juju,
right?
put on the poll, please. Are the ants screaming?
They have to be, right?
They have to be.
They can't just take
Pain
it
is
quietly.
pain,
So
right?
you've got the people that vote no to that. Just have them like.
But this is, guys,
How?
this is the whole kind of mammals thing. Thank you for finally getting around to my point.
The whole what?
We only recognize the things that speak to our native mammal language. We want to see tears. We want to hear screams.
Right.
But meanwhile, there are these animals that are expressing pain in ways that we just don't give a shit about.
No, because they're not audible. We don't hear it. By the way, whatever happened to red ants? You know, back
Still around.
They're still around. They're
Really?
still
Still
kicking.
around, yeah.
because
Still
when I was a kid, every other ant pile you saw was red ants, and that's an ant pile you didn't mind obliterating. The black ants, they were great. They were my friend. But I can't tell you the last time I saw a red ant pile.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
So Greg was just trying to explain how some of his best friends are black ants.
Correct.
And now he's just in a rabbit hole, an ant hole, an ant hill
Right.
on Googling ants.
Yeah, I Googled whatever happened to red ants thinking it would back me up, but it didn't. The red ants are still a real thing. Here's a headline from 2022. Invasive fire ants continue their march across Virginia. Wow.
If you don't take care of the red ants, they'll take care of you. I mean, they will.
I believe it.
They're not playing games. I mean,
I like how ants and like Confederate generals are both the things that we always say are marching places.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're just marching across Virginia.
Very militaristic language when it comes to ants. Because they are like a battalion. They can move a rubber tree plant. You know, they can carry. I think they can carry like 10 times their weight.
Might be more than that, actually. Might be like 100.
You think? I wouldn't doubt it. Let's check that out.
Last week, I asked Ron McGill if a fire ant, which was one of those big red ants, flew off the 8th story of my building, and Ron said, yeah, he'd be fine.
Yeah, that's right, because they're so lightweight. That's a good point.
I would be jumping off so much shit if I was an ant.
Knowing you were going to live, right?
Right. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
of course.
whee!
Right.
Yeah, you'd be skydiving.
Yeah.
Wish we had Ron today.
Surprised that we don't have more ants landing on us. Like, oh, I'm walking. Oh, there's an ant on my shoulder.
Oh, you do. I've had ants land on me. All of a sudden, you notice an ant on your arm.
Right.
That hadn't happened to you?
Are you guys spider in the house? Escort him outside, folks.
No.
Lucy
That
is
sucker
the
is dead.
Chancleta.
It's where I'm as tough. It's the toughest I am in my life. Wow. When my wife and my daughter see a spider, it's like, I got this.
No.
10 to 15 times their weight. That's what they can carry.
10 to 15. Okay.
Yes. But how much do they weigh?
Oh, infinitesimal, right? I mean, like negligible weight.
Well, this is the legend of Earl Boykins, right? He was like 5'5", 130. He could bench press like 3 times his body weight.
Wow.
Short
This
arms.
is the legend.
What's the
of
fattest
Earl
ant?
Boykins.
What's the fattest ant? Have you ever seen a real overweight ant? You have.
It's like a really, really big one. Like I would see them on the playground sometimes. It would be like normal size ants and then just the largest one you've ever seen.
Maybe that's the queen.
Yeah.
Bullet
Are there
ants.
queens?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bullet ants. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
they
Sim
rule
ants?
the
No one else
colony.
played Sim Ant here?
Yeah, bullet ants. Oh, you get bitten by a bullet ant, it's like you feel like you're dying.
I've never
I've
heard
never
of that.
even heard of a bullet ant.
Yeah. I wish Ron
Oh, they're a
McGill was
big
on this
deal.
one.
Yeah, no, I would love to talk to Ron McGill because someone spotted a pot of
So
orca.
many Ron questions today.
There was a pot of orcas around Key Largo.
Mm.
Yeah, made Lifestyle Miami.
Ants weigh anywhere from 1 to 5 milligram, mg, whatever that means.
Milligrams, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you don't know.
The bullet ant,
You convinced us.
Parapanera
I have an eighth.
clavata.
I have an eighth of ants.
That's what I gave you?
Chris, what's your weapon of choice when it's time to be the man of the house and destroy the spider's entire living?
The shoe I'm wearing, a sandal, and if sometimes they're already dead, and I'll just grab a napkin. But yeah, I'll step on that shit.
How about a roach?
Same.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that stuff.
I like to put a little scare into the roach so I can see where the roach tries to go to, so I can find the roach hub.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want him
yeah.
to go
Identify
lead you
its
back,
home, yeah.
lead you
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to his
Put a
to
little
his
scare
lair.
into it, watch it scatter, see where it tries to go into, and then
Like
I
that.
nuke that spot.
I take out all the roaches.
That's the plan.
I like it.
Any bug in the house is going to die, but if it's a lizard, then you can escort it out.
Con of
Kill that.
lizards.
I'll kill that.
With a cup, right?
Yeah, put the cup on top of it.
Yeah.
Put like an
Oh, yeah.
envelope
You do that-
under it.
I've
And
done that, yeah.
I have done that. Yeah, good point.
Fun game.
The envelope. I never thought of the paper part. I always am just awkwardly walking, like with dragging my cup along the floor.
The lizard lobby really has its hooks into you guys, huh?
well, yeah.
How about like wasps and bees and stuff like that when you see one of their thing? What are they called?
Not for me, Cloud.
Hornets'
hive?
nests, hives, whatever. I saw something on TikTok where if you take gasoline in like a cup or jar and you put it up to the wasp's hive, all of it falls down and they all die.
It's got to be a safer way to
Dangerous
do that.
game.
I've watched a
It
lot
is
of those
dangerous.
videos.
You've seen that too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're incredible. They just die.
I should point out that Lucy's face has been generally horrified as we've all talked about what we're genociding.
I would kill like the wasp. Like I don't like wasps or bees or stuff. Well, not bees, but wasps.
Killing a wasp. Have you ever used the spray to kill
I'll
a
use
wasp?
the spray.
The
What?
spray.
There's a spray?
Is awesome.
You're
That's
macing,
pretty awesome.
you're
Yeah.
macing a wasp?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
do
like
Long
10
distance.
feet away,
Yeah, it shoots big time.
and you're just like bullseye. It's like shooting like an enemy fighter pilot out of the sky.
It's like a fire
incredible.
hose.
Yeah, it's rad.
I use that. I'll kill a wasp, but anything else, like if I can take it outside, I probably will. I used to live like in the woods, and I would get frogs in my room. That was a journey.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
that
frogs in
sucked.
I called the cops. Yeah.
Wait.
It was a bullfrog.
So if you have a little tiny ant on your counter, you're like, here, come on, buddy, let's get out of here.
No, like
I
if-
have.
Exactly.
I'll
I'm with
usually-
Chris, yeah.
yeah, if it's like a small little ant, then yeah, I'll take a paper towel and I'll give it a peaceful death. But if it's like, yeah,
You're
That's
gonna,
not peaceful.
Is it?
you're gonna,
it seems more
it a
peaceful than
brush?
this.
you're gonna
Deep
choke
brush.
out that ant.
You think?
I wish you could hear the
think-
screams of terror.
Wait, so you have suffocating it?
You-
Yeah, but
Lucy,
it's
being
like
a better
No,
death
it's like
than
a
just
pillow.
I have Lucy putting a pillow on this insect's face.
It's
Exactly.
Like, it's just a little like
I'm
I don't
telling
want to
you,
know.
this
no
hand slap, that thing has
aggressiveness.
no clue what just happened. That thing is just like, I'm walking, and I'm dead.
Yeah, mine's more like I still hit it like quickly, but I'm gonna do it with a paper towel so I don't have to worry about
Your
a mess.
aunt is like, what's happening to me? This is weird. Now I'm
It's
dead.
not that slow. I'll take any bugs outside if I can, just because I like.
Come back inside.
They probably
That's
won't.
the whole point. It's like, hey, we found shelter here at your house. We're gonna try and get back.
You know what
here
wouldn't
to
take
your
you
house.
outside? A lion.
Yeah, well, there aren't lions here.
I'm just saying.
I'm not going into a lion's house or anything like that.
Exactly.
Lion's Den.
Yeah.
Thanks,
you, Stu.
guys.
You got it. All about accuracy.
You guys like sports?
Sure.
Yeah.
The Lions?
No, just like
Sneaky good team.
Yeah, they are. They're gonna be good.
Okay.
Even
Oh,
though
Dan Campbell's season.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just got hurt.
Who?
Big addition to them. Yeah.
Who?
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
safety.
Oh.
Safety.
Eagles?
Yeah.
Don't know 'em.
Eagles? Eagles?
If you're playing at home, Lions, Eagles, Immaculate Grid. Yeah.
They announced
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
the formal version announced Basketball Immaculate today. There's like
So
crossover
I have
grid.
questions about the business of the Immaculate Grid because I come in here and in the morning, all you guys are doing is playing the Immaculate Grid.
In the morning, I spent an entire dinner with Mike. That's all he did. I mean, an entire evening
I get
at the craps table.
the appeal. The appeal is obvious to me. I'm also in on this, but I'm also curious about the business of this. Like, who is profiting from this addiction that all of you have developed?
Big grid.
Hang on, using Grant Long as my Heat Hawk.
Excellent.
Baseball Reference seems
One
to be the
percenter.
site profiting.
Steve Smith.
Yeah, but too basic. You want to get the low
No, I
score.
know.
You want
I
the
know.
rarer the pool.
Right. No one is profiting right now, but someone will. Eventually, right? Because it's pretty popular.
I feel like it's publicly available information. The entire concept of the grid is tic-tac-toe. None of this should be proprietary. You guys are sitting on a potential competitor that you're not realizing economically.
So Heat, 20-plus points a game per season. Everyone's got to go for LeBron and Wade and Shaq. What you want to do is get Tyler Hero so you get a better score. Lower the score, the better. Like golf. Tyler Hero, 3%.
How about Ronnie Cycli?
That would have been nice. That
Yeah.
would have been nice. But I'm
Yeah.
trying to prove a point that it's actually a good trade for Portland.
My dad was doing this. Me and my brother were playing the other day, and my dad was just saying guys from like the 60s. And I'm like, Dad, I think this starts around the 90s.
Wait, there's the
Help me
business.
out.
My dad's great at this, but
There's
in the
the
60s
business.
and 70s.
Center square, Pistons, Suns, going Lindsey Hunter.
Yep.
Pablo's great at this game, by the way. Anytime we need a Sixer, Pablo has everybody on lock.
Oh, yeah, I had Rashawn Holmes ready for you on that Sixers Kings
What
square.
a pull.
Lindsey Hunter didn't work?
I just had one of those with Blue Jays 200-plus hits in a season. I put Roberto Alomar.
See, that's probably 60%
Robbie.
though, because everyone's gonna guess him.
Oh, thanks to
The
guys.
more
Let me put that
obscure,
down.
you want to
Vernon
find.
Wells?
you
No,
wanna-
it's not him, Roy.
Oh, he didn't do it.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Lindsey Hunter was the interim head coach. He never actually played for the Suns. Damn it, no longer immaculate.
What if we do old Immaculate Grid so Greg Cody can play? Is that a business?
60s.
I mean,
start
the
it.
regular Immaculate Grid, you can just say old people.
Yeah, you can. Like, they still qualify. They
That's
might not
true.
be playing anymore. They might not be living anymore, but you could still use them as guesses.
Some immaculate grids start as of like the 90s.
The football one does, Dynasty Daddies.
Okay, so now I'm realizing there's a whole cinematic universe of grids. Dynasty Daddies, that's who we're
Yeah.
that's who we're
That's
riding
our
with?
that's our NFL one for now.
So are there any from the 60s or no? I'm getting mixed signals here. Because I want one from the
All right, Dad, let's do a baseball. Give me a Philly and a Blue Jay.
all time.
Give me a Philly and a Blue Jay all time.
I don't know. I have no
All
idea.
right, great.
Yeah. No, I don't. I have
Back
no
to
idea.
you, Pablo.
But listen, look at here. If I say Red Sox and Yankees, everybody goes Babe Ruth. I go Elston Howard, the
That
catcher.
would be a good answer,
That
right.
would be a good answer.
I like Greg giving him grids to answer.
That's
It's
right.
great, yes.
The ones I
Greg's
know.
Where he
Grids.
knows the answers.
Greg's
Right.
grid.
So, Greg, on the NFL, there's a Charger who had 1,000-plus yards receiving, right?
Yeah.
So you can go like John Jefferson, Wes Chandler, guys like Charlie Joyner, guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kellen Winslow.
Yes, of course.
Great pull.
So it's all sports. Immaculate grid. It's everything? See,
It's
I've never heard the
It's
phrase
always annoying
immaculate
to
grid.
explain things like this to my dad.
Well, it sounds like a religious phrase, immaculate grid. I'd never heard of it until today, so I
Dad, I
Googled
explained it to you yesterday.
Yeah, but
when
you
Mike-
didn't. You
Mike-
didn't say immaculate grid though.
I walked up to you and I showed you. I said, "This is what we're doing," and it was the baseball. Like I did this.
I know,
to
but
you
you
2 days
said
ago.
baseball reference or something.
You just said you learned of this today, and you didn't.
I learned the phrase immaculate grid today. What did you call it when you and Michael were playing?
Immaculate grid.
No, you didn't. Liar. No, you really didn't. I forget what, but it wasn't immaculate
Sounds
grid.
like Greg may have been pasting a couple drugs.
I'd have remembered that. I was, elbow deep in cooking when he and Michael were doing that.
What were you
Elbow
making?
deep.
Schnitzel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Like to the forearm, entire forearms. What you're saying
Pretty
in that
much,
schnitzel.
Yeah, I had, flour all over me.
He was breading veal and chicken, and then his way, because you know what you do is you fry up some meat and then you put it on like a paper towel, right, to soak up. My dad had it on a regular towel.
Oh yeah, you have
He
to
was
do that.
soaking up the grease on a
Do
regular
you
towel.
Do you have a grease towel? A towel designed just for this purpose?
It's yes and no. It's a kitchen towel. It's not a towel that one would use in
It's
the
gross.
bathroom.
It's something he
after a
cleaned his
shower.
counter with right before.
It's a kitchen towel. It's used in the kitchen for all manners of stuff. And towels absorb grease so much better than paper towels do. Cloth towels.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
I need you guys to help me out here because there is actually one bit of fan feedback that I've taken to heart because I myself feel it.
I'm afraid when you take fan feedback, Mike.
I mean, there's occasionally like something useful, and we're doing that hard network out thing way too much. And I know how it happened because Dan wanted to bring it back, and Dan's like the straw that stirs the drink. But going to it every segment is not funny. It's not. It's not. It's only funny.
Greg agrees.
When
100%.
it's genuine.
Right.
And trying to trap Greg every time is
Yes.
also not funny because it feels forced and thus inauthentic.
Right.
So, Greg, I'm going to need you to be clock disciplined because the last few times we've used it, it's been genuine.
Right.
But it's also still not funny to me because of how much we've beaten that joke into the
Sure.
ground.
Yeah, I agree.
I would
As
like
the
to maybe
victim.
do that once, twice a show. To do it every segment has zero comedic value.
Well, back at ESPN, it was once an hour because
Right.
the hard network
Nice.
out was at the top of the hour. It was
Nice.
nice,
And it
right?
was
We would set
genuine.
it up the entire hour.
And it was
Correct.
genuine. Even though we have clocks here that we're trying to adhere to, it's not really all that hard. It's a construct that we've made to make you laugh. And if we are the ones that are making it less and less funny, then we should abandon the construct altogether, my friends.
Well, it is genuine because he doesn't know it's coming, but it's not fun. I'm with you that it's not funny when we do it every segment, but it's not like he knows it's coming and walks into it.
No, but it should be organic. It should be natural. It shouldn't be someone intentionally asking me a question with 3 seconds left on the clock to bait me into it. Now, granted, it's my responsibility to be more aware of the clock.
Your opinion on this honestly means the least.
Okay. That's fine.
But you were on the right track. You got to get better at this.
Right.
Well, this is
and that
this
time I
is-
gave up 30 seconds with my hands. I'm trying to help you here, pal.
Right.
This is what happened, is that we were sitting in between segments before last segment, and we said, we're not going to go back to the hard network out. And then Greg just started talking clearly with no intention to stop, and it was like, do we stop him to get an out here, or do we just let him run into this painted tunnel? And he ran into the painted tunnel.
That kind of thing. You know, it's fine with me either way.
What?
It doesn't bother me.
It seems like it does, though. You okay? Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I forgot. Jesus Christ. All right.
All right, let's show Pablo. Let's show the audience. Mike is right about this, all right?
I agree with Mike completely.
This is an example, Greg, of it being mean, but funny.
I just want to give you a sample of what Greg Cody sounded like, which set us all off in a panic, everyone except for Greg Cody, because he's old and he's stubborn and he refuses to go to the doctor. So that's what you sounded like for the better half of a month now. Me, Dan, everyone. We told you repeatedly to go to the doctor. You ignored us. You finally went to the doctor, and the results of your visit to the doctor were what?
Yeah, after several tests, they found a tumor in my chest.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.
It was benign.
It was.
It was benign.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
The live radio listeners at the time over at ESPN had to wait an entire commercial break to find that out.
Forget about it.
The sounds Greg made just made me think that maybe it's not so benign anymore.
He's been forever changed from that experience, and I don't think we're ever going to get the Greg of old. Instead, we just have old Greg.
What do you mean by that?
I just think you're never going to fix that cough issue. It's been years.
Also, you're drinking out of a wooden water bottle, which is also extremely old.
It's faux wood.
It's faux wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a wood
You
laminate.
thought that was real wood? That'd be
Idiot.
great.
You brought an ancient newspaper clipping.
I did. Same color as my faux wood. Now
It
that I think
is,
about it.
right.
Yeah.
The guy who has that newspaper clipping also has an authentically wooden water bottle.
You've also lost hope at ever regaining your previous health prior to tumor.
No.
No, you think one day you will overcome this cough.
Christopher, who knows me better, obviously, than anyone else in the room, will tell you how much better the cough is than it was at worst.
He just has asthma and postnasal drip. That's what he has, and he takes medicine.
Right.
And when the medicine's working, he'll seem fine. And laughing does. I think we are at a point, Dad, though, where forever, when you laugh genuinely, it makes you cough.
So this postnasal drip and this asthma, this existed before the tumor.
Correct.
How come it never surfaced?
The
during
timelines
the
were
show?
just kind of similar. He had the tumor, got it removed, and then he started having the chronic cough, and then they figured out the chronic cough was from postnasal drip / asthma.
Have I, in my mind, been retconning Greg's entire tenure on the show? I thought he always sounded like this.
No, but we're about halfway through his tenure where the cough has been around. Yeah. I think he's actually been healthier a little bit longer than he's been unhealthy, or at least sounding unhealthy. But it's been a while now. I mean, we're talking
Since he sounded healthy.
We're talking a couple years before the pandemic.
He's in the room.
It's all coincidental with my surgery. I had so many tests prior to my surgery that they discovered, COPD, a version of that, and that kind of thing. I mean,
he's just old.
Yeah, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. It's part of your robust character that you've built out on this show. That you.
There's a lot of robust at this table, by the way, in terms of what is being sort of expectorated all around me.
What?
it's true.
He doesn't know what that word means.
I would not want to be. I would not want to be Pablo right now.
Scott's genuinely
No
had
idea.
no idea what
Yeah.
you were talking about.
The what do you mean?
I'm going to get COVID if I haven't
yeah.
already.
Yeah. I had a little coughing fit last night, actually.
Did you?
And,
Sorry,
yeah.
Gus.
I downed an emergency just in case.
Right.
Should have. A couple of them.
Did you really?
I did.
You believe in that stuff?
Dude, you had a bunch of airborne
You
on
had
here.
you had VapoCool on this desk yesterday.
It was Coke.
Pace and drugs. Stugotz,
I feel a little bit better today. I got to be honest.
You walked in yesterday looking like you were about to expire, not just expectorate, and you came off of a weekend in which you were, Greg, we were sitting with the heavyweight champion of the journalistic debate that happened between Dan and Stephen A. This is the man who won.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, right? I'm the voice of journalism. Like, that's funny. Isn't that an interesting twist?
Stephen A. crowned you.
He did, yes. Listen, I've told Dan this for a while. Like all these guys, yourself included, Pablo. Like, I get what you guys wanted to do when you were growing up, which is have your printed word land on someone's front door. But those days are over. And you're all me. all of you, Stephen A., Schefter, Woj, Pablo, Le Batard, Greg Cody, you have all jumped. You're no better than I am. None of you. Not a one of you. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but that's the reality. That's where we're at. And show me, this is the only point I was trying to make and tell Dan. Show me the person who's in Stephen A. Smith's position, where journalism is dying, where newspapers are dying, that wouldn't take $12 million a year to debate sports with Skip or somebody else. There's not a single person who would not take that deal. Not one.
We have video of what Stephen A. Smith did, and you could tell he was serious because he showed up in his sleeveless hoodie. And I've been told that he said something about our show, and I was kind of in and out of town. And I'm not really interested in it because it seems like everything that he does so well, by the way. I want to get that message across. I think I echo Dan's sentiments in that Stephen A. isn't really the problem here. It's all the cheap imitations of Stephen A. that he spawned because it's so easy to do what Stephen A. does poorly. Not to do what Stephen A. does.
Right.
But it's very easy to do it poorly.
Yes.
I mean, look at Stugotz.
Thank you.
No consequences. But I kind of understand the motivation here because it's gotten word and it's been written about in trade papers, and word got back to me that he's kind of behind this documentary on debate sports television. And I think he is kind of making up a new storyline for it because this is probably the most interesting sports debate television has been in quite some time. The discussion about sports debate television. So I want to have Stephen A. in his performative nature speak for himself here so you can catch up.
So when Stugotz alludes to the changing of the industry as it pertains to people like myself and Dan Le Batard, he's not wrong. Because I saw that you had to modify your game a little bit because all of a sudden the written word didn't matter as much. All of a sudden, the news itself didn't matter 2 minutes after people got it. It mattered when they didn't have it, but the second they had it, within 5 minutes, because of the advent of social media and beyond, everybody had it. And once everybody had it, they didn't care about the news anymore. What they cared about was your perspective on the news. And I saw that as my avenue to transition. And I'm not apologizing for it. Because even though I went from 53,000 to 225,000 as a salaried employee for the Philadelphia Inquirer, let's just say you can't even come to me with 5-figure salaries at this point in time in my life, or 6-figure salaries. It's not even a consideration. I'm at a point in time in my career I don't even want to discuss anything that's less than 7 figures. That would never have been the case had I stayed in newspapers. For myself or Dan Le Batard. Which is why I thank Stugotz for pointing out Dan Le Batard's, dare I say, hypocrisy on this matter? Because that's what it is, Dan. Sorry, buddy. But it is.
I never got the hypocrisy because I don't think that was a crux of Dan's argument. There are many paths that one can take while the industry develops. And also the timeline is very disingenuous. Dan was on radio, maybe not to Stephen A.'s knowledge, but Dan was on radio while writing still very much mattered. And he enjoyed the medium. Dan can speak for himself on the matter.
But Mike, Stephen
I don't think anyone's having a go at Stephen A. for going to television and being good at it.
If anything, I just want to point out that Stephen A. Smith looks great sleeveless.
He does.
He does.
Pythons.
He looks like
great period.
Behind him is a brick wall for his show. It looks like he's a double dragon character.
He does.
Did he do push-ups right before that, though?
There's a little pump.
Stu Scott.
The GOAT.
That's great.
R.I.P.
I also don't think it's hypocritical, as Stephen A. goes at Dan for being good at television and growing within that, to say, well, you participated in this migration. That was stemmed from necessity as the industry was evolving. Dan did different things. Now, you can probably seize on Dan actively participating in the grandfather of debate television, PTI. The whole construct is this person says this person says that, and what Dan's doing is just thinking that he approaches it differently than some of the screaming talking heads that you see on television. But that, I think you can have a go at Dan. He absolutely participated in this.
Yeah, look, as it's hard to not talk about this with some amount of sincerity for me because I also resemble all of these criticisms. I still do PTI. I love the fact and abhor the fact that PTI was the thing because it engineered sports debate television, the thing that actually infected cable news. Like, cable news before PTI did not have a rundown, did not have clocks, did not have topic bars in that way, did not have conflict as theater in that way. And so too with Stephen A.
Let me Google when Hannity and Combs started.
Look it up.
Yeah, because I think they're like right there.
But nothing anticipated short attention span theater the way that PTI did, blending it, infusing it with debate. And so for me, yes, there is a Steph Curry aspect to this where it's like Steph Curry, unimpeachably green light when it comes to shooting whatever three he wants, right? Tony, Mike, Stephen A., you can debate whoever, whenever, as soon as you walk into the gym. But all of these kids who are breaking their parents' windshields by bricking threes because you want to be those guys, that's the problem. That's the issue with the imitation.
I think one of the problems is, first off, sports debate goes back to sports radio, like Mike and the Mad Dog. And journalists always look down at sports radio hosts like they were better than we were, okay? And so no one wanted to be a journalist and then have to cave in to being some form of Mike and the Mad Dog. And Mike injected himself into the story, by the way. No one asked him. I mean, Francesa, nobody asked you, but they were the first ones to do it, okay? They debated everything. And then guys like Dan and Stephen A., who probably said to themselves at some point, I'll never do what they do. Well, they're doing something close to what it is they do, to what radio hosts do, and it's okay. You can scream as loud as you want about a topic, but when Stephen A. reports something, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to believe him. It doesn't ruin his credibility in my eyes. Your credibility has not been ruined in my eyes, nor has Dan's or anyone else's. But they have all become sports radio hosts debating every single little topic, and at some point in their lives, they swore to themselves, I'm never going to do what Stugotz does. Well, I got news for you. You're all a bunch of Stugotzes, every one of you. And congratulations and welcome to the club.
One big difference that hit me as I was listening to Stugotz do that, with his fingers waving, is that I am not Stugotz insofar as the tips of my fingers are not browned by cigarettes.
No. It's a good point. Yeah.
I think that another funny part of this air quotes beef between Stephen A. and Dan is they're both actively participating in their chosen paths too much to actually truly pay attention to what the other person does. It's not like Dan is sitting down and watching the entirety of First Take. He only sees when there are gesticulations and physical aspects to the take that turn his attention.
That's a good point.
When we were on ESPN radio, we would pot up the most extreme portions of First Take. And for Stephen A., a guy that probably passively, I don't think Stephen A. listens to our show, a person that passively maybe experienced highly questionable. Wait, the dude that has an entire block dedicated to people getting their junk hit with a baseball is telling me what I'm doing is dumb? Like, I understand where Stephen A. is trying to defend the merit of what he's doing and the honor of what he's doing, because to just lump us all into dumb is unfair. That's like me saying highly questionable is debate television and is dumb because they're a Tosh.0 ripoff because they have this viral element to one of their blocks. It's just, I think it's two people that have their best intentions in defending what they think is principled and honorable, and they don't really truly have an understanding on how the sausage got made on either end.
I think for both of them, the other is usefully traitorous when it comes to the principles that I think they do actually believe in. I think Stephen A. is a reporter by instinct. I think Dan is too.
Most people who began in newspapers are.
But if they report something, are you taking it any less seriously than you used to because they're doing different shows now? I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
Dan's a credible voice. Stephen A's a credible voice. They just happen to do different things now.
Who's upset about this?
Well, Stephen A.
Nobody.
Stephen A. got irked by it. Or maybe he's performing just to add another leg to his documentary, but
Dan's the one who's upset about it, saying to Stephen A., "You've ruined TV."
Dan was the one that kind of started it because Dan's whole approach to telling Stephen A. that was super bizarre. Right. Okay?
I think you've ruined everything.
Yeah, I think you've ruined everything, not even looking at Stephen A. in the eyes, and it got traction because Dan came off mad disrespectful. But that's just Dan being socially awkward.
True.
And by the way, Stephen A. was cool with Dan's perspective on that. And this kind of got in the machine, and now it's two people that aren't listening to each other's full shows, chiming in on what's being clipped, and it's kind of a vicious cycle, and it's feeding this. And to Stephen A's credit, I think it's feeding it the way that he'd like it to be fed.
It's so perfect that two of the titans of the industry, with what we're talking about, are making an issue of going at each other and debating. Like, who's worse?
It's a little on the nose
less journalist
when you put it like that.
Who's sold out more?
But it's like just them debate. It's not like everybody around is like, "Oh, did you hear about this Stephen A. Le Batard?" It's just them two talking.
Thank you, Chris. That's my point. Nobody cares except for the two of them.
You're wrong.
And us. We're in the industry.
Dude, you're wrong. You just mentioned
Mike on a mobile phone doesn't care where the news comes from.
You're the one that literally said Mike Francesa threw himself in the middle of this. Mike Francesa cared. I've seen several articles written about this very beef. It has social capital, whether you like it or not. So that's
July.
Yes, that is a huge part of it.
Try it out in October.
Yeah. So look, they've learned the secret that we've learned a long time ago doing radio in July. Let's talk about ourselves. That's where the content is. And Stephen A. is vastly more entertaining a topic at this time of the sports year than chewing on Damian Lillard's potential trade to the Miami Heat for the 17th time.
Pablo, I know you love Michael Wilbon and respect the hell out of him, but we can all agree the official day that journalism died is when he covered the Cubs in a Cubs jersey, right?
It was when he tucked his Cubs jersey into his pants.
Yep.
You can't say that nobody cares about this. People do. People do care about it. It's dumb.
Well, they care about it, Mike, and this is getting, to Greg's point, this is a little postmodern, right? We're talking about the thing, and the thing itself is talking about us talking about the thing. But the thing that we're talking about is how it's useful to turn ourselves into characters that are not supposed to be three-dimensional and taken in our totality, but are to be consumed in a reality show-style context that fuels the theater of conflict.
And the great checkmate from Stephen A. is now he's engaged Dan in debate television.
Correct. Tony, really? Now you're not going to do it?
I fed it to Stu. Bishop to Rook 9.
It's your line, though,
I
man.
know, but I fed it to you.
Run with it. I appreciate that, but I wanted you to say it, okay?
Sue, you get the acclaim. If someone feeds you a line, go with it.
All right.
But that is your line.
But even you pointed at it, Mike.
It's your line. It's your line.
I appreciate it, though, Tony. Team player.
But Greg, I want to point out that for as much as you are in this orbit, the orbit of the man whose chair I'm sitting in right now, you're not. I don't consider you a debate guy.
No, I mean, I'm not. Naturally, like, I don't have the personality to make everything argumentative. You know, like Stephen A., he's looking for an argument. He wants to raise his voice. He comes off as angry.
He wants
about,
to have a low voice first.
And then. Right. But ultimately, he comes off as angry about everything he's talking about. I don't take sports seriously enough.
Not always
to
angry.
be angry.
I don't think he comes off as angry.
No?
No, and I also think that word is coded. I think he comes off passionate.
I think Stephen A's highest best register is fury.
Faux fury.
But always somebody who knows that the person watching him is also laughing.
He's in on it. He's smarter than
He's
anybody.
okay with that.
The craftsmanship, Greg, the craftsmanship of even silence. Like my whole take on Stephen A. as a performer, as a person who's really good at the jobs that I've tried to do, silence from Stephen A. is potent. It's so hard to have confidence.
Sipping the tea when someone else is talking.
My favorite thing that he does is stretch out the neck before he gives a take. It's the best. It is the absolute best. He's performing.
He's a performer. That's exactly right. It's performance art with him. When I'm listening to Dan and watching Dan, I don't get the feeling that he's a performer per se. I
No,
think he's
Dan is-
No,
That's-
we're
that's
in this whole mess because he wasn't a performer. Because he was damn awkward talking to Stephen A.
Right.
It's kind of the magic of Dan. Like, if Dan is defined by any characteristic, I think it is a fundamental, unfakeable awkwardness and a desire to not be the performer that he sees all of his peers thriving, becoming.
Right.
Or a desire to be seen as that way. Because the truth is, he is participating in this. The truth is, he was on PTI, the granddaddy of them all. But Dan cares very much deeply that you all believe that there is more to this, because there genuinely is. And he does aspire to not be dumb, even though what we do is largely dumb. We get you in the tent, and then we make you think with something thought-provoking. Maybe not in July.
But when Dan complains about how he like television, of course that is to
Well, he watches it with the sound down.
If he were better at it, he'd like it more. He loves the audio medium because he's fantastic at it.
Yes.
It's not hard
not
to...
not a highly questionable
look
fan,
at
Mike.
I mean, Highly Questionable was great. Producers, exceptional. Boy, those guys are great. It's like a training course for production.
Really good.
Yeah, but, I mean, part of Dan's appeal is that he's bad and awkward at these things, that he's constantly sweating. It is it not?
No, the gap.
No, it is.
Am I,
the
am
gap
I, like,
in
doing wrong
the,
by him by
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
it? Like, he knows this?
The gap in confidence between Stephen A. and Dan when it comes to the theater of television is the Marianas Trench. Like, it is.
Exactly. Trench.
It's a big trench.
One of the biggest, actually.
It's one of my favorite trenches. Mariano Trench. Trench green.
Trench coat.
Paces drugs.
That's right. Trench coat, Paces drugs. What are the other famous trenches? Anything? I'm out of trenches.
Johnny Trench.
Great hitter.
You were saying?
I'd like to retract everything I said about how my credibility may not be compromised by being here.
Trench Richardson.